Alright guys, Telcom here back again today, hopefully enjoying your Friday so far. Tonight, the Florida Mutineers home series kicks off. Today, I wanted to talk through predictions, storylines for the upcoming weekend. Really intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to join the Draft Royale for this weekend, this is your last chance. This is my upgraded team. I think it's kind of nice, but maybe you guys can do a better job as well. Before we get into the content for today, I wanted to say a big thank you to Midnight.com for sponsoring this weekend's Call of Duty content. If you're into some esports betting, you're over 18, ready to gamble responsibly, this is the place to be this weekend. They've got odds on all the matches. They've also got these outright results as well, which is pretty interesting, or at least outright odds to win the entire event. Pretty interesting because, of course, the Mutineers, the last event that they won, hosting this one, of course, but they won the event in Dallas. They managed to make the big losers bracket run all the way through, and every single event they have played so far this season, they have lost their very first round matchup. So maybe if you guys have a good feeling about a certain team, this could be an option, but I'll go through the odds for the matches at the end of the video after I talk through my predictions for the weekend. So if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. And let's hop right into things here. First of all, just wanted to mention the Paris team this weekend. It seems like Denz and Luca have swapped roles. Denz now using an SMG. Luca going to be on the main ARs. Maybe that's something to consider for your fantasy team as well. And that may obviously switch up exactly what I'm thinking this video. Then again, did I really expect Paris to make an incredibly deep run? Not really anyway. Will this make the team better or worse? It's tough to say, but it can take some time to adapt to some of these changes. And that's also a storyline to discuss really with the OpTic gaming team, bringing Chino into the squad now with JCap on the bench. So if you guys would like to make this bracket for yourself, Mutineers, flmutineers.gg, Dallas Empire are also doing their owners one as well, but the software behind the scenes is the same, run by the CDL. So this is what we're looking at right here. Ultra Subliners, Mutineers Rocker is Group A. Group B, Legion, FaZe, OGLA, Royal Ravens. Now this Group A, honestly, is kind of a group of death in my opinion, because Subliners right now are apparently a very, very strong team indeed. We've seen evidence from that at the most recent Chicago Huntsman event where they made a pretty deep run and mixed it up with some of the very best teams in the game there for sure, especially given what we expected out of this team a few weeks ago. Bringing Mac into the squad seems to have revolutionized how good this squad has been, and Clayster, I believe, said that, look, if Atlanta FaZe don't win this event, he reckons that Subliners are the next in line to be the favourites for this tournament. But given they're in opposite groups and they'll be matching up in the first round of the semi-finals most likely, that's not necessarily the case, but I'll go through my predictions today. So let's start off with Group A here, Ultra Subliners. Now, I really like the Toronto Ultra. I think they're a very good team. I think they can have the ability to take any team in the game to a Game 5. But having said that, I just don't think that they're quite up to the caliber of the squads in this pool. We've got Mutineers and Rocker, which is obviously a blockbuster round one. But against the Subliners, I really struggle to see Ultra getting the better of them, especially given how good Subliners have been in the respawns. Typically, Ultra will manage to steal a couple of respawns, take it to a Game 5, something like that. But Subliners' hardpoint has been so good when they beat FaZe, the most domineering game we've seen this entire season on that St. Petrograd 250 to 84 or whatever it was. Subliners versus the Atlanta FaZe, the most recent event. So for that reason, I'm going to take Subliners winning this one. I could see a Game 5 on the cards, but I imagine it finishes in Game 4 hardpoint, given how strong Subliners have been in that mode. Then you've got Mutineers Rocker, and I was hearing Lando talk about this yesterday. Thought it was a pretty interesting thing he talked about. The Mutineers have lost their first round matchup of every single tournament they have played so far this season. However, having said that, they have bounced back and won later on. And Rocker as well, as you can see right here. So this is Rocker's season a few times now, having lost to Atlanta FaZe at the Atlanta event. They then bounced back and beat them at the LA event. Then they lost to Dallas Empire. They then bounced back and beat them at the next event. So it seems like Minnesota Rocker are pretty good at finding out where they have, come up short in some of their series they lost. But of course, as we well know, at the most recent event, they lost to the Florida Mutineers in the grand finals of the Dallas home series. But, you can take multiple angles on this. You can say, look, Mutineers always start off slow. Rocker are pretty good at bouncing back against competitors that they have lost to before. At the same time, do you expect those past trends to continue on into the future indefinitely? From what I can see, Mutineers beat Rocker the last time they played them. For that reason, I'm going to say Mutineers, in my opinion, are somewhat slight favourites here. But yeah, there are other factors to consider for sure. In my opinion, I think the Rocker are a fantastic team, but I just don't think they're quite as good online as they are on LAN. I don't think Alex is quite as good online, neither is Silly, and maybe Assault is kind of similar, but in my opinion, they're a slightly better team on LAN than they are online, and Mutineers were really good the last event. So in my opinion, I'm going to take Mutineers to win this one. Could definitely see a game 5 on the cards though, so this could surely go either way, and RevTheAR are a very solid squad indeed, so that's what I'm going to take. Let's go down to Group B for the time being then, to Atlanta FaZe Paris Legion in the first matchup here. You know, it's tough to look past FaZe in this one, right? I'm going to give it in a 3-1 fashion. Paris could be pretty decent. They've made this role change, but FaZe are just too good, I think, right now to look past, to be honest. They obviously were probably the team that put up the best fight against Dallas Empire last event. Largely considered probably a top 2 team in the game right now. If they perform to the level we expect out of them, they should do very well. And Simp, honestly, last event, he had a pretty underwhelming event by his standards, even though he had a couple of unbelievable maps. But on the whole, his event was kind of underwhelming. So if he steps up to kind of a normal Simp level here, I can imagine Atlanta FaZe being a really, really solid team this weekend, and they didn't have any of those really nasty competitors of the Dallas Empire and Huntsman, for example, to have to worry about. So I'm going to take FaZe over Paris. I don't think that's too in contention. Then we've got OpTic Gaming Royal Ravens. I'm going to take Royal Ravens in this one. I know a lot of the casters were talking about that Royal Ravens could really be an underdog, dark horse team this weekend, and I definitely echo those sentiments. First of all, I hope it happens, but at the same time, I think that this could be their time. They've had a little bit of time now to bring Shawnee into the squad. They looked somewhat promising at the Atlanta FaZe event, even though they lost to FaZe, of course, and they lost to, I think it was the Huntsman as well. So they had a pretty tough bracket, but up against OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, with this role change for Chino, I can imagine that team being slightly better than they were before, but I don't think it's an absolute game changer, and Royal Ravens have had more time to adapt to their substitute coming in Shawnee than OpTic Gaming have with Chino. So this could be a close series. In my opinion, I'm going to take the Royal Ravens coming out on top. Then let's look at the let's look at the knockout round 1. So Ultra Minnesota Rocker. In my opinion, it's tough to look past Rocker. Again, I can see a game 5 on the cards here, to be honest. I don't really want Toronto to lose 2 game 5s. That's why I'm going to say they lose map 4 in the first series. But look, Ultra are kind of good at getting to game 5s. Can they close that? I'm not sure they can. So Rocker beating them here, it doesn't really surprise me if that ends up being the result. And then let's look at knockout round 1. This one, it's tough to say. I'm just looking at this tweet from Kismet, and he says, so ready for this weekend, big things coming. And I see 2 role changes, right? So we've got OpTic Gaming bringing in Chino for Cap, then you've got Paris Legion swapping out Luca for Dens, which is a strange change. I can see a game 5, but honestly I'm going to favour the Paris Legion to beat them out here. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to matter who wins this series, because I'm taking Atlanta FaZe over Royal Ravens right here. I think it's going to be a 3-1 fashion. The last time these guys played, it was a 3-0, but it was a very, very close 3-0. So I imagine Royal Ravens wins at least one of the series this time. That's where my money, or one of the maps at least this time, that's where my money is. And let's look at the top here again. So Mutineers, Subliners. This is a tough series to call, in my opinion. I'm going to take a Game 5 fashion Mutineers, but I think this could be very close indeed. The exciting thing about this series is that Mutineers and Subliners have both been absolutely lights out in their respawn play. Mutineers you would expect coming into the season, if they're going to win an event or something like that, they're probably going to steal a respawn and win a couple of search and destroys, given the caliber of players and their team Havoc, etc., likes doing all these flanks and stuff like that. But their respawn has been where they've been winning the games, and as it has been for Subliners. So these guys in hardpoint, if this series does match up, this is going to be incredible hardpoints, because both of them have been absolutely unbelievable in that mode. But when it comes down to a game 5, I do remember before Subliners won that incredible map 4 to take FaZe to the game 5 and lost the game 5 in a comfortable fashion. So I'm not sure Subliners quite have what it takes yet to win in a game 5 fashion, but I think their respawn has been super, super good. But I'm going to take Mutineers once again in a game 5 here, going on to the bracket play. And let's have a look at knockout round 2. This one, I'm actually going to take the Subliners to come out on top. People might disagree. I can see, we'll go for a game 4 victory. I think they close it out in the second hardpoint. Is probably what Subliners are better at doing than going all the way to a game 5. But yeah, this is a very tough group to call. In my opinion, I'm going to say that RevTheAR are the team that doesn't make it. Toronto, I don't really think most people are predicting to go out. So yeah, Mutineers and Subliners for me are going to make it through. I want to see a good performance out of Subliners this weekend. We've seen good stuff from Mutineers. We've seen good stuff for RevTheAR. This could be the chance for Subliners to really make a deep run here. Let's look at knockout round 2. In my opinion, Royal Ravens are going to come out on top here. They're beaten Paris Legion in the past. They should be a solider squad right now. Solider, I'm not even sure exactly that's a word. But yeah, with the role changes coming in for Paris, they're pretty much about the same point in the table. But I think this kind of could be the event for Royal Ravens to break out. They definitely have a doable group here. So yeah, in my opinion, Royal Ravens are going to get the better of Paris Legion. And we go on to the semi-finals and bracket play. play. So Mutineers, Royal Ravens, FaZe, Subliners. Let's start with FaZe Subliners first. Again, I'm going to predict this one in a Game 5 fashion. We saw what happened before FaZe Subliners, incredible series. Subliners win both hardpoints, but FaZe win all the other maps. And in my opinion, if FaZe manage to take just one of the hardpoints, they're going to win the series. The only way Subliners wins this is if they win both hardpoints and probably manage to win the domination or somehow win the first search and destroy. Because fact of the matter, if this goes down to a Game 5, I see FaZe winning. I think they have the clutch factor. They have that search and destroy prowess, which they dominated really against the New York Subliners last time they played them in the Game 5. Maybe Subliners and Revan and JP have gone in super in depth at exactly how they lost this series and how they can bounce back going forwards, but yeah, for me, Atlanta FaZe are just such a strong team this event. That's what's going to happen. And then we have Mutineers, Royal Ravens. This is a tough one to call for me. Probably it's a huge bias at play. But, you know, some of the casters talking about how they feel like Royal Ravens, it's their event to do something here. I can definitely see them coming out on top. I think that Wuskin and Scraps have been really, really good. Dylan, if he has a good event, can definitely turn some heads, right? And if that does indeed happen, I can see these guys winning it in a Game 5 fashion. I'd like to see it as well. I don't think that Mutineers could make the finals again. It's definitely possible that they could win once again, but given we've looked at the events this season, the only team that's won 2 events has been the Dallas Empire. Could Mutineers make it to the finals once again? They definitely could, but that'd be 3 finals for them on the year, which would be pretty incredible. And I think given the online scene, it's pretty unlikely that a team that's won the previous event they played in makes it all the way to the grand finals again, especially in the single elimination format. A single Game 5 can spin the balance right here. So this is going to be my bracket, Royal Ravens versus FaZe in the grand final. And as sad as I have to say, if this does end up being the grand final, I think that FaZe take it. I just don't see that Royal Ravens quite have that clutch factor yet. They already lost to them earlier on in the tournament in terms of what my bracket predictions are being. So yeah, for that money, I'm going to take Atlanta FaZe to win the entire weekend. Obviously, that's a pretty obvious prediction. In terms of upset teams, definitely Subliners, if they got this win over FaZe, could end up winning it. I think that Royal Ravens have a chance as well. But if Royal Ravens do play FaZe in the grand final, I just can't see that series going in their favour. I think the FaZe are just too solid of a squad right now against the Royal Ravens in particular. But if someone else takes out FaZe, Royal Ravens could do a number here, and of course Mutineers as well coming from this top bracket, or really any team from this Group A could definitely switch things up because it's a very challenging group indeed. So yeah, those are my predictions for the weekend. Intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. These are the matchups as they occur tonight. So the first matchup of the day, Atlanta FaZe Paris Legion. That's going to be at 9 PM my time, 4 PM Eastern, 1 PM Pacific time. Then we've got the Royal Ravens OGLA, New York Subliners, Toronto Ultra, Minnesota Rocker, Florida Mutineers to finish out the day. Tomorrow's action will start 3 hours earlier, so that'll be at 12. Well, it'll be, it's tough to even figure out in my head, but it'll be at 10 AM Pacific time, 1 PM Eastern, 6 PM my time here in GMT will be Saturday's action kicking off, and then Sunday's action for the final few series. It kicks off at the same time as this once again. Tomorrow there'll be 6 games on, today there's only 4, and then on the final championship Sunday, there'll just be 3 matchups in play, the 2 semi-finals and the grand finals. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below on this one. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. Thanks to Midnight for sponsoring today's video. I'll see you next time.